Most of your problems don't come from the world. They come from how you see the world. Think about it. How many times has your peace been stolen not by what happened, but by how you reacted? A rude comment ruins your day. A delay feels like an injustice. Someone ignores your message, and your mind spins a story that keeps you awake at night. The problem isn't life. It's your interpretation of life. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They lived through wars, exile, betrayal, and loss, yet they found peace where others found pain, because they mastered the one thing most people never do, their mind. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but his greatest victory wasn't over nations, it was over his own impulses. Epictetus was born a slave, yet he walked freer than most kings. Seneca was surrounded by luxury, yet he trained himself to live with nothing. They discovered something extraordinary, that 90% of human suffering isn't caused by events. It's caused by resistance to those events. If you can learn what they knew, if you can adopt even a fraction of their discipline, clarity, and calm, you can solve most of the problems that torment your mind today. Not by changing your circumstances, but by changing your response to them. These are 8 Stoic lessons that can fix 90% of your problems, if you let them. In a world obsessed with control, like outcomes, people, Stoicism teaches the opposite. Let go of what you can't change and master what you can. It's not a religion, not a self-help trend, not a list of rules to memorize. It's a discipline. A way of thinking that reprograms how you face chaos, insult, pain, and uncertainty. And right now, that discipline is rare. We scroll endlessly, react instantly, and overthink constantly. We're anxious not because life is hard, but because our minds are undisciplined. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for fame, but for survival. Each page was a reminder to himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's Stoicism in a single breath, a philosophy designed for real life, for heartbreak, failure, unfairness, and the noise of everyday living. And it works because it's simple. It shifts your focus from what's outside your control to what's inside it, from blaming others to mastering yourself, from reacting to responding. When you practice these 8 Stoic lessons, you start to notice something profound. Life doesn't get easier. You just stop being easily broken. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable, so that no matter what happens, loss, rejection, criticism, or chaos, you remain centered, calm, and in control. Let's begin. Here are 8 Stoic lessons that can fix 90% of your problems. By teaching you how to fix the only thing that ever truly mattered, your mind. Rule 1. Control the inner climate, not the outer weather. We spend most of our lives trying to change the weather outside, people's opinions, circumstances, opportunities, outcomes. But the Stoic masters knew something the modern world forgets. The weather is never in your control. What you can master is the climate within. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things." Most of our suffering begins not in reality, but in our reaction to reality. You get stuck in traffic, not a tragedy, but the story you tell yourself about it. I'm wasting my life. I'll be late. This always happens to me. That's what poisons a moment. The Stoic life begins where the story ends. It begins when you stop trying to control the weather and start adjusting your inner temperature. Every time something happens, you have 2 choices. Resist what is, and suffer, accept what is, and remain free. The modern mind is trained to resist. We argue with reality, complain about inconvenience, and mentally rehearse unfairness as if it were a moral duty. But reality doesn't bend because you dislike it. The world moves indifferent to your irritation. You can shout at the rain, but it will still fall. So the Stoic trains differently. They prepare each morning as if entering a storm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Today I shall meet interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. But none of them can harm me, for I have prepared my mind." That's a secret. You don't wait for calm, you bring calm. You don't pray for good weather, you become the good weather. When something challenges you, a rejection, an insult, a delay, pause. Ask, is this within my control? If yes, act wisely. If no, release it completely. That one habit separates peace from torment. The outer world is chaotic, but your mind can be a fortress. Inside that fortress, you decide how to see, how to feel, and how to respond. No one else enters without permission. And once you master that, once you stop reacting to every gust of wind, you'll discover something incredible. The world no longer has the power to shake you, because you have built an internal climate, stable, warm, and unbothered, in a world of storms. That's Stoicism in action. Not running away from life, but walking through it with composure. Not avoiding the storm, but walking in it without losing your balance. Control the inner climate. Ignore the outer weather. Do that, and you've already solved half of life's problems. Rule 2. Respond. Don't react. A Stoic doesn't move at the mercy of emotions. They move with intention. They've trained their mind to pause between stimulus and response because they understand that space is where freedom lives. Most people don't live. They react. Someone criticizes them, and anger bursts out like fire. They're ignored, and self-doubt floods in. They face a setback, and frustration takes control. Their peace is a puppet, pulled by every external string. But the Stoic sees things differently. They know you can't control what happens, but you can always control what happens next. Epictetus once said, "When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it." That attitude determines whether the moment becomes poison or medicine. Let's say someone insults you. Your instinct says, strike back, defend, prove them wrong. But the Stoic pauses, just for a second, and asks, does this insult actually damage me? Or does my reaction do the damage? That's the difference between chaos and composure. When you react, you give power away. When you respond, you take it back. Think about how often regret comes from that one unguarded reaction. A message sent in anger, a decision made in haste, a word spoken without thought. Reaction is emotion on autopilot. Response is emotion under command. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That's your power, the power to revoke your reaction. You can feel anger rise and still choose patience. You can feel fear and still choose courage. You can feel insulted and still choose silence. Each time you pause, you weaken the grip of chaos. Each time you respond instead of react, you prove mastery over yourself, and that mastery multiplies peace. The Stoic doesn't suppress emotion, they govern it. They understand that calm isn't natural, it's trained. It's built repetition by repetition, moment by moment, decision by decision. So next time your emotions surge, remember this. You are not your first impulse. You are the pause that follows it. React, and you'll repeat the same mistakes. Respond, and you'll rewrite your future. Rule 3. See life from above. The Stoics practice something powerful, a mental exercise called the view from above. It wasn't fantasy or escape. It was a way to remember how small your troubles really are. Imagine rising above your life, your house, your city, your country, until the earth itself becomes a distant sphere beneath you. From that height, where are your problems? The argument you had yesterday, the delay that ruined your morning, the opinion someone posted about you, where are they now? They've dissolved. They don't exist on that scale. That's what Stoicism teaches. Perspective is power. When you zoom out, everything that once consumed you shrinks back into proportion. You begin to see that most of what torments you is temporary, trivial, and forgettable. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, all you see will soon perish, and those who witness it will soon perish too. At first, that sounds dark, but it's not. It's liberating. When you remember how short and fragile life is, you stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. You stop being offended by everything. You stop chasing validation. You stop suffering over details. From above, you realize that everyone is just trying to figure things out, even the ones who hurt you. You see that time moves relentlessly forward, washing away everything, good and bad. And you recognize that the only thing truly yours, the only thing you ever control, is the kind of person you are in this moment. So the next time your mind tightens around a problem, practice this. Rise above it. Zoom out mentally until your breath slows and your anger fades. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a year, 10 years? If not, let it pass. Because when you look from above, life becomes lighter. The noise fades. The ego softens. The priorities reorder themselves. You start to see clearly again. That's the Stoic secret weapon. Not detachment, but clarity. They don't ignore life. They just refuse to be blinded by it. So, when the world feels heavy, don't fight it from the ground. Rise above. See the bigger picture. And remember, you're just a traveler on a small planet, passing through time. Don't let small things steal your peace in a life that's already so brief. Rule 4. Do what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it. The Stoics didn't chase motivation. They practiced discipline. They knew feelings were unreliable guides. If you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. That's the difference between ordinary and Stoic living. The ordinary person seeks comfort. The Stoic seeks character. Life constantly tempts you with ease, procrastination, distraction, indulgence, comfort. But every time you give in, your will grows weaker. And every time you resist, you will become stronger, like muscle built through resistance. The Stoics understood that discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. Because when you can command yourself, no one else can. When you do what's right instead of what's easy, you start to trust yourself, and that trust becomes inner power. Seneca said, no man is free who is a slave to his body. He wasn't rejecting pleasure, he was warning against addiction to it. If you can't say no to yourself, how will you ever say yes to greatness? Discipline isn't about perfection, it's about direction. It's doing the work even when the mood has vanished. It's finishing what you start. It's making peace with boredom, repetition, and effort, because that's where mastery is born. You can't control whether the world rewards your effort, but you can control whether you give your best effort regardless. That's Stoic excellence, doing the right thing simply because it's right, not because it's easy or noticed. When you feel lazy, when your mind says not today, remember, that's the exact moment to act. Not later, not tomorrow, now. Because discipline isn't built in comfort, it's forged in those small moments when you push against resistance. The Stoics didn't preach suffering for its own sake. They practiced endurance because they knew the mind must be tested to be strengthened. Like a sword against a grindstone, character is sharpened through friction. So, stop waiting for motivation. Stop expecting perfect conditions. The path is walked by those who act despite excuses. Wake up early. Do the hard thing first. Keep your promises, especially the ones you make to yourself. That's how the Stoic wins. Not through luck, not through inspiration, but through relentless, quiet consistency. Because when you do what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it, you stop being ruled by emotion and start living by principle. And that is where freedom truly begins. Rule 5. Turn pain into power. Pain is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher if you allow it to be. The Stoics never promised a painless life. They promised a peaceful one, and the two are very different. Because peace doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from understanding it. Marcus Aurelius lived through betrayal, war, plague, and loss. Yet he wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes a way. He didn't just endure pain, he used it. Every obstacle was an invitation to grow stronger. That's a Stoic mindset. Whatever happens, use it. Don't waste suffering. Don't curse it. Don't run from it. Turn it into power. Modern people run at the first sign of discomfort. We quit when things hurt. We call pain unfair, as if the universe owes us smoothness. But the Stoics knew, smooth seas make soft sailors. If you want to build depth, courage, and endurance, you must first face resistance. Pain reveals who you are when everything else is stripped away. It shows you your limits, and then quietly asks, do you really want to stop here? Most people do. Stoics don't. They see pain as raw material, clay that can be molded into strength. They train their minds to say, this is happening for me, not to me. When Epictetus was beaten by his master and had his leg broken, he said calmly, you will break it. And when it broke, he simply said, did I not tell you so? He lost his freedom but gained control over the one thing no one could touch, his mind. That's not weakness. That's supreme power. Pain can destroy you, or it can purify you, depending on how you hold it. If you resist it, it becomes torment. If you accept it, it becomes transformation. Every great Stoic understood that adversity refines the soul. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests brave man." Without hardship, courage is theory. Without failure, humility is untested. Without pain, gratitude has no contrast. So when life hurts, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's strength. Maybe it's compassion for others who suffer the same way. Pain is a chisel that shapes character, but only if you stand still long enough to let it work. The Stoic doesn't seek suffering, but they also don't hide from it. They walk through it, calm, aware, unbroken. They know that what hurts today can make them unshakable tomorrow. Next time life strikes you down, remember, you can fall apart, or you can fall into wisdom. You can let pain close you, or you can let it open you. Every cut, every loss, every betrayal can become fuel for greatness if you refuse to waste it. Because pain, when faced with clarity and courage, always leaves a gift behind. Deeper strength, quieter wisdom, and a peace that cannot be stolen. So don't curse the fire. Step into it. Let it temper you. Let it make you stronger than you were yesterday. Turn your pain into power, and it will no longer be pain at all. Rule 6. Kill the ego before it kills your peace. The Stoics believe that the most dangerous enemy isn't outside of us. It's within. Not pain, not failure, but ego, the constant whisper that says, "I'm too important to be questioned, too special to be wrong, too good to fail." Ego is subtle. It hides behind ambition, pride, and even confidence. It tells you that you deserve more, that the world owes you, that others exist to validate your worth. But when ego runs your life, peace disappears, because ego is never satisfied. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, could have let ego consume him. He commanded armies, ruled millions, and could have lived as a god among men. Instead, every night he reminded himself, "Soon you will have forgotten all things, and all things will have forgotten you." That's not self-pity, that's freedom from illusion. Because when you remember your smallness, your soul expands. You stop needing to prove yourself, to be praised, to win every argument. You simply become. Ego thrives on comparison. It wants to be better than others, not better than yesterday's self. It turns learning into competition, humility into weakness, and growth into vanity. That's why the Stoic kills ego daily, before it poisons clarity. Seneca said, "No man can learn what he thinks he already knows." Ego closes the door to learning, to empathy, to truth. Humility opens it again. You can't grow if you're too proud to be corrected. You can't lead if you're too attached to being admired. And you can't find peace if your world depends on others noticing you. The Stoic knows life isn't about proving, it's about improving. Real greatness doesn't shout. It's quiet, patient, and grounded. It doesn't need validation because it's built on virtue, not applause. Every time you're criticized, pause before defending yourself. Ask, is my pride speaking or my reason? Every time you succeed, remind yourself, I was helped by others, by chance, by time. Every time you're ignored, remember, I don't need recognition to have value. That's Stoic humility, not self-loathing, but balance. A clear awareness of your place in the vastness of things. When you let go of ego, life becomes lighter. You stop performing. You start living. You stop chasing titles. You start building character. You stop fearing failure, because failure no longer defines you. Ego says, I must win. Humility says, I must learn. Ego says, I deserve. Humility says, I'm grateful. Ego screams. Humility listens. And in that quiet, peace returns. So kill your ego, not once, but every day. Not with shame, but with awareness. Not to be less than others, but to be free from the need to be more. Because once you silence that inner voice demanding recognition, you'll hear something far greater. the calm strength of a mind that no longer needs to prove its worth. That's where Stoic mastery begins. When you stop asking, how do I look? And start asking, who am I becoming? Rule 7. Let go of the outcome. Master the effort. Most of your suffering comes from trying to control what was never yours to control. Results, outcomes, reactions, timing. You work hard and expect reward. You love deeply and expect return. You act kindly and expect recognition. And when reality doesn't match the story you built, pain appears. The Stoics saw this pattern clearly. They said, you cannot control the outcome. You can only control your effort, your intention, your action, your discipline. Everything beyond that belongs to fate. Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. That sentence can free your entire life if you live it. We live in a world obsessed with results, grades, followers, promotions, praise. We're taught to measure our worth by outcomes. But that's slavery disguised as ambition. Because the moment your peace depends on external success, you handed control of your happiness to the world. The Stoic walks differently. They act with excellence, not because it guarantees success, but because it's the right thing to do. They know that process is purity, attachment is poison. You write the best you can and release the need for applause. You love sincerely and release the demand to be loved back. You work diligently and release the obsession with results. That's not passivity, that's freedom. Marcus Aurelius said, never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason you have today. He didn't mean you shouldn't plan. He meant you shouldn't cling. Because clinging turns every effort into anxiety. You start living for what if instead of what is. And in doing so, you rob the present moment, the only thing you ever truly own. The Stoic mindset is simple. Do your best. Detach from the rest. Detach doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply about the action, but not about the approval. You give everything, and then let go. This is how a warrior sleeps peacefully after battle. How a craftsman finds joy in their work, even if no one notices. How a thinker writes for truth, not applause. Once you master this, failure loses its sting, because you realize that effort, not outcome, defines your worth. And strangely, when you stop chasing success, you often find it follows you naturally. So practice detachment every day. When results don't come, say, I did my part. When others don't respond, say, that's their path. When life shifts direction, say, perhaps this is better than what I wanted. Let go of what you can't hold. Hold firm to what you can, your effort, your integrity, your calm. That's how the Stoic moves through life. Steady hands, open heart, empty expectations. They give everything and cling to nothing, because peace is not found in control. It's found in release. Rule 8. Live fully in the present moment. The Stoics understood a truth most people never realize until it's too late. We don't truly suffer from the past or the future. We suffer from our refusal to live in the present. We replay old mistakes, as if regret could rewrite them. We worry about what hasn't happened, as if anxiety could prevent it. And in doing so, we miss the only moment that ever truly belongs to us, now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, confine yourself to the present. He was reminding himself that life is lived only in one place, this moment, right here. The Stoic practices presence not because life is easy, but because it is fleeting. They see each sunrise as a privilege, each conversation as temporary, each breath as a gift that could end without warning. And that awareness doesn't make them afraid, it makes them alive. Seneca said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. We waste it waiting for perfect conditions, waiting to be happy, waiting for the future to arrive. But the future never truly comes. It's always later, and later never lives. Gratitude is a Stoic's way of freezing time. When you truly notice a simple meal, a kind word, the warmth of sunlight, you are no longer rushing, you are living. The Stoics call this awareness euthymia, a calm, steady happiness born not from success, but from contentment. The modern world pulls you constantly into distraction, screens, noise, comparison. Stoicism pulls you back to simplicity, to stillness, focus, and presence. Each day, Ask yourself, if this were my last sunrise, would I be proud of how I'm spending it? That question alone can reorder your entire life. Presence isn't passive, it's powerful. Because when you live here, now, you stop being haunted by the past or enslaved by the future. You act clearly. You see clearly. You are clear. That's why the Stoic practices gratitude daily, not as a ritual, but as resistance against forgetfulness. To say thank you is to say I am awake. So slow down, breathe, look around you. This moment, this ordinary, unrepeatable moment, is your life. Don't just endure it. Don't rush through it. Live it, fully, gratefully, consciously. Because when you can finally stay where you are, you've already found what most people spend a lifetime searching for. Peace. You just heard 8 Stoic lessons, not ancient ideas trapped in marble, but living truths meant for today. Now the question is simple. Will you remember them only or live them? You can't control the world, but you can control your response. You can't escape pain, but you can choose what it means. You can't stop time, but you can fill it with purpose. Start now. Pick one lesson. Practice it today, not tomorrow. Let stillness guide your mind, gratitude shape your days, and discipline anchor your soul. Because the Stoics weren't born different. They just chose differently. And so can you. The world doesn't need another philosopher. It needs one more practicing Stoic. Be that one.